a couple of journals that I wanted to share with you. I just finished them, and these are the first journals I've made with my Scrappy Quilt Paper technique. And if you're curious about the covers and the technique that I use to make these covers, I made a video showing how I make this paper, and I will put a link to that tutorial in the description box below. So I'm going to try to get through this really quick so you can see the details but not belabor it. I'm going to try really hard, okay? Okay, so they measure, they're very similar, they're slightly different but very similar in size. So this one's almost 6.5 by 4, not quite 4, almost 4, and this one is definitely 6.5 by 4. That gives you an idea on the size. And let's start with this one. So I'll give you a close-up so you can see the cover. I did some stitching on this to adhere it. I reinforced this cover so it's really strong and flexible. And in this one I used all kinds of papers. So there's wrapping paper, typewritten quotes, painty paper, just all kinds of things. And then I used a shell button as for the closure, and linen thread to tie it with, which this is the same linen thread I use to stitch the signatures in. The end of this is one of a textile bead that I made, and I put some of my hand spun yarn on it and typed "Find Joy," and on the bottom, to kind of weight it, is a piece of a little piece off of some vintage jewelry that I rescued from somewhere. I love it. It's just so vibrant, so sweet and old. The little beads here actually came off of the same piece of jewelry, and they're quite tarnished, which I love. Both of these journals, if you didn't notice, well, I'm sure you noticed, they are very scrappy and kind of messy, and things hang out, and I prefer that. So if you don't like things that hang out of your journal, you might not even want to watch this because it may just drive you crazy because it's so I don't know, just kind of crazy, I guess. So I lined it with some of my painty paper, the cover fabric. It's a sheer, not a transparent, sheer fabric. And then this is a piece of ephemera from, I think, the late 60s, because I also got it at the same time. You know, these were the things that they would hang, they hang, oh heck, they still do that, I guess, not coupons. Recipes, well, I guess it is coupons sometimes, but these are recipes, that they would hang next to the vanilla extract or whatever. This one is, I think, for icing, yeah. Cake decorating, icing, cake decorator. And I got it at the same time that I also got this piece. This is a pocket made with scrapbook paper. And inside I put this piece of ephemera, 1967, Adam's Extract Teenage Electric Bake-Off. So these are real, they're not copies, they're the real deal, never used. And then I also included this little piece of ephemera too. It's a receipt from 1927, February 1927. And I love using these because they're you can use them for decoupage, or I like to just reinforce them with another sheet of paper and use them as tags in places that I can actually journal. Anyway, I'll put it right here. I mean, it's in here ready for you to do whatever you want with it. And I want to point out one little thing. You see this dog ear? Well, all the stacks of paper that I got, which I got quite a few from this, it was from a grocery store in Amarillo, Texas in the 20s. And the pages are stacked that are all related. And instead of stapling them, what they did is they stacked them, dog-eared it, folded it over, and then made two little tears. And that little tab that was made from the two tears. They just fold it over, and then it holds them together. This stack has been together since whenever, I don't know, 1927, 1928. These are all from the 20s. I got a whole big thing of it, actually. And they're so fun to use. And anyway, so there's a small one in here that you can use any way you want to. Oops. I thought you might find that interesting to see, you know, why it's dog-eared like that and why it has the little torn edge right there. Some painty paper, watercolor painty paper with a little tuck spot. This is upcycled, recycled, from Whole Foods, actually. This was at a resale shop. Apparently, I guess they donated it all from an event that they had and didn't use it. So these were all unused things that they had made, and they were like little flags for a banner. And I love using them. They're kind of metallic. Love them. This is hand-printed wrapping paper. It's so nice. It's kind of velvety. It's really nice. Some really nice office paper that has a really nice texture. Some painty paper, some more just office type paper. This is avocado dyed. I avocado dyed that music. That's what that's called. Some poetry paper from an old poetry book. And this one has charms, little heart, crocheted heart charms. And then the other side of that signature, which is just the same old thing. And then this is an accordion piece of paper. I'll show you in just a sec. Let's see. Held together with that clip, and I'll show you that clip in just a second. So it folds out quite a ways. And if you're not into accordions, you could always cut it off, you know, and have just a flip out or even no flip out. I mean, you could do whatever you wanted. But one thing I love about these accordions, there's just so much space. You can journal, you can add pictures, you know, whatever. But you could, like I said, you can cut it off and use it for some other purpose. And the back is a bright pink. And then when I attached it with, I stitched it on the sides, and then there's a pocket here. So you can actually tuck something in this page. And then I held it together with this clip with a little charm that I made on there. And then the other side of that, another tuck spot there, and another tuck spot there. This is muslin with some vintage lace that stitched on there. I love this lace. I'm savoring it. I don't use it as much as I would like to. More avocado music paper. Some of the yummy Japanese paper I get at Daiso. Avocado paper. Fabric tab on vintage book paper. Some more poetry paper. And then this is a little pocket that I made from, this is going to date me, y'all. Who remembers the dot matrix printers that used the special dot matrix paper? So I found a little stack of it, and I love using it. It's pretty heavy. It's almost like a cardstock, and this particular one. I made a pocket and added a little ticket, which is a real vintage ticket. It's not a reproduction. With a little charm with a canceled Chinese stamp on it. And then the other side of this book paper and avocado. And this paper, y'all, is so wonderful from Daiso. It's very thin. It's translucent, but it's really strong. And you know, if you don't like all these papers hanging out like I have here, you know, you can cut them off, you could tear them, you could do whatever. I don't mind them getting all tattered, but that's just me, and I know not everybody is like that, and a lot of people would just drive them crazy. Music paper, so you know, we're just looking at this other end of the signature, end of the painty paper, and then this has another pocket in the back, a little tuck spot kind of pocket, with a receipt, an unused receipt. I love using these as journaling pages, either reinforcing them with more paper or just using them as is. These are not very old because they have 19 over here, so they're not that old, but they're unused and they're perfect for us who love to reuse things instead of throwing them away. Okay, I think I've showed you everything in this one. Okay, and then this one, her sister is very similar. It's the same technique, I just did a different stitch pattern. I reinforced it the same way, so the covers are made the same technique, just altered them a little bit. And this button is vintage. It's not shell, it's plastic, but it is a vintage button, I think from the either 40s or 50s is what I'm guessing. This is also vintage, this seam binding. Here's the packaging that it came from. It was still in its packaging, completely sealed. So it was originally 25 cents, isn't that cute? And then on the end of this tie is a textile bead, and I like to hand stitch my textile beads, so all of them are hand stitched, and you'll see some embroidery sometimes on them, like this one has some colonial knots on it. So I do them all different, and I don't always remember what I did to them because I like to work on them and then just store them till I'm going to use them. This is a piece of cotton netting from a very old piece of clothing. It's very nice. I love to use stuff like that, little bits and bobs, and enjoy them, because this particular piece of clothing is in shreds. You know, it just can't. It's terrible. This is a pocket with fabric. It's a fabric fabric pocket that I hand stitched and added some wool buttons to it. And then the same ephemera, same piece here. This is the same wrapping paper, same fabric, same avocado paper. It's basically, it's just the same, just slightly different. Same dot matrix pocket with another one of the vintage tickets, poetry paper, a little tab, fabric tab on that one. And then here is the accordion with the same clip and the same charm. And, oh, it goes this way. So it's the same accordion fold. And again, you could, cut that off, whatever. If you don't like the accordion, cool. You'll just end up with lots of hand-printed wrapping paper that you could use on lots of things, to make tags or pages in other journals or whatever. And then this one, I actually have two bookmarks, so you can move them around in the journal wherever you want. This one has more crocheted hearts and some vintage glass beads that I also rescued from another piece of vintage jewelry. Some more music paper, avocado dyed paper, more of that yumminess, Japanese paper. Same thing, wrapping paper, hand printed, painty paper. And then another receipt that's really similar to the other receipt with the same fold and tear that they did. Same office type paper. Another tab. And then here's the same ephemera. I just stuck it here instead. And this is another, I have it closing, just keeping it closed, I should say. Another accordion. This is the avocado dyed paper. So you can use this for anything. I like to use stuff like this to make tags. Oh, let me show you real quick. Really, really quick. See, it even has fun little images right there. 1967. You could also, I've done this before too, where I'll put some tracing paper on top of something that I think is interesting and I just want to see it underneath, and then write on top of that, because a lot of times that will soften it down enough to where you can write on top of it and still see what you've written and still enjoy the original piece of ephemera. Here's the other bookmark, and this one is with one of my fabric tassels and another embroidered hand-sewn bead, fabric bead, oops, and then another bead here that I rescued off of some piece of jewelry. And then the same little receipt piece, and this is a hand-printed piece of wrapping paper. That's what that's called. This is also painty paper that I did for the background. So that's it. I think that's it. So I'll have all the information about these journals in a link down below. So if you want to purchase one of these, or if you just want to see more information about them in their listing, I'll have the link there so you can go and check them out. Anyway, I really appreciate you sticking around and watching this video, and all of your sweet comments that you leave. I always appreciate that, and I hope that you have a wonderful, beautiful day, and I will see you next time.